Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Today I have for you the SCT Sampler Kit unboxing video, and if you stick around, I always make a project when I do an unboxing, so you'll be able to see that. Let's dive into the sampler. This is how the package comes every month in this little cardboard envelope, and included in the package is this little card with a quote on it and a theme word for the month, which is grateful this month. And SCT always provides a word embellishment to go along with the theme, and it matches the word on the card. So if we pull out everything that is in this bag, you'll notice that bits and pieces are just kind of tucked away in the bag, and you'll have to do a little bit of sorting to see which bits and pieces go with which product lines. There's usually two main product lines as well as another reusable item that is included in the package. So I decided to go ahead and start with the reusable item first, and this time we have a stencil from Hero Arts, and I'm really loving when they include stencils in the set, and this one definitely has the fall theme to it, and I will show off that stencil in the project if you stick around for that. And then we'll head over to the pattern papers, and we have two lines, and the first line is from Honeybee, and that is this little 6x6 paper pad that is included. And earlier I had some gems in there that were a part of that Honeybee collection as well. But as we flip through this paper pad, you will see that we have some lovely fall, very soft fall colors going on here, and I really like this color palette, this kind of softer, more muted color palette as opposed to some of the more bold traditional fall colors. So, and there's those gems that I was talking about. So that is the Honeybee set. And this next set of supplies is from Pinkfresh Studio, and I tend to like Pinkfresh. And here is that backside of that paper you could see was cut off, and that's because most of the 6x6 pattern papers are cut down from a full 12x12 sheets. Occasionally we will have, like with the Honeybee product, we'll have a 6x6 pad or a partial pack of a pad. And I think they do that in order to be able to bring us a broader selection of supplies, because not everybody offers the 6x6 paper pads. And then these embellishments is, again, a partial package of embellishments from Pinkfresh. We have ephemera pieces, we have their kind of chipboard flare style pieces, as well as a partial pack of stickers and a partial pack of enamel dots. So that wraps it up for the supplies that are in this month's kit. So let's go ahead and do a project with these. All right, I wanted to use that word grateful on a project, but not necessarily for a fall themed project. So I found these pictures of my cat just being totally silly. And so I'm going to talk about how I'm grateful for this goofy cat. And I pull out a sheet of just white cardstock, and this happens to be Vicky Bouton mixed media cardstock, but really you can use any cardstock that you want. And I'm going to try and figure out what I want to do with this pattern paper. And then I decide maybe I should just go ahead and make it a frame around a central white cardstock piece. Because these are 6x6 paper pads, there are various ways that you can use these pads to build a full 12x12 scrapbook layout if that's the style you prefer. So today I am making these strips from my 6x6, and these strips are 1.5 inches, and you can get 4 of those out of a 6x6 square. And I'm going to use these as a border all the way around. Now I did alternate these left and right, and after when all was said and done and I took a step back from my layout, I decided that was not my favorite, but it's done now, and so that's what I end up going with here. In the meantime, I am going to use that cardstock for some stenciling with this stencil that's in the kit. And I like these little finger daubers when I'm using stencils, especially with a stencil that has smaller images on it, which this one does. And that just lets me control where the ink goes a little bit better. And so I am slightly blending the inks over each of the leaves and just spreading the color out across the stencil, and also trying to overlap and blend those colors so that I get a large variety of color going on in my background. And this really is going to be, this background is kind of going to be the star of the show for this layout. And there are those leaves. I hope you can tell from the screen how many color combinations I got going on, because I used pink, blue, and yellow. Those are basically primary colors, and so whenever you combine those colors, you're going to get greens and oranges and purples in there as well. I didn't need to stencil across the whole section of this pattern paper because my photos are going to cover up some of it. And I also left another border around this pattern paper because that's going to add depth to the entire layout. I should say here, I did smudge my ink a little bit when I was stenciling, and that's okay because I have this mono sand eraser, and I'll leave a link to that product below. And with small smudges, I can just use this eraser and it cleans things up just fine. The stenciling is actually in the end going to look kind of like its own layer of pattern paper. Another thing that helps this one sheet of cardstock look like several layers of pattern paper is inking the edges. So I feel like I get a yellow layer. Oh, and while I was doing that, I got all of my tape runner stuck to my glass mat, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. So I did ink around the outside edges, and the hard edges of the stencil I left there on purpose so that it would act like another layer of pattern paper. If you don't like that, you can kind of shift your stencil around and just ink up a couple of extra leaves here and there around the border, and that will make it look more random. So if you don't know this tip, rubbing alcohol is a great cleaner for many adhesives. So a rubbing alcohol and a scraper can help if you've made the mistake that I have. Another touch that I like to add to all my projects these days is a little bit of pin work, and here I had my photos matted with a white border on them, and I decided to go ahead and do my pin work right around the image itself and not around the entire border. And then I did off screen do all of my small 2x2 photos the same way to just help give them a definition because there is a lot of white going on in this project. Now I'm moving on to building my title, and I've been really into like actually building titles lately. So I'm going to use this yellow kind of journaling spot to do that, as well as stamps, these alpha stickers, and the word grateful, and this little tab off of a larger sentiment piece, but I just wanted that one word there. So I put my grateful down where I wanted it to be, and then I kind of marked on my tag where that was going to sit so that I could do this stamping. So the whole title is going to read, "Grateful for this silly life." And for this is the stamping portion. Silly is going to be in my alpha stickers, and these I believe are a Pinkfresh product, and they're a navy blue puffy sticker. I did want it to read originally "Grateful for this silly cat," but because I didn't have anything that said cat, I would have had to keep going with either the alpha stickers or stamps or some other thing, but I really wanted to pull all of these different elements together into one title. So I did shift it to that word that I had on that bigger banner that said life at the end. And that's enough of a shift, and then I will talk about the cat in the journaling, and so I think that title works. And then I start with just a few simple embellishment clusters, and when I said simple, what I started with ended up feeling too complicated and too like it was taking too much attention away from the other elements on this layout. So I took that all off and went for things that were smaller and simpler, as well as adding a little bit more interest to the title block so that that would draw more attention to itself as part of this layout. And then I start looking through thinking about, do I want to add like some fussy cut elements to this? And while I'm thinking, I just throw on a few gems. And these are just teeny tiny kind of crystal-like gems that were part of that honeybee collection. And with that, I decide that I don't need a lot else going on, so I'm not going to end up fussy cutting. I do pull out my ruler to make my journaling lines straight with my photo, but then I realized my photo was offset, so my journaling lines ended up crooked anyway, which is how life goes sometimes. And then once I've got my journaling lines in place, I do build my third little embellishment cluster around there, and that does finish off the layout. So as we take a few close-up looks, let me say thank you so much for being here. I know you have a lot of choices out there, so I appreciate your time. And if you got something helpful out of this video, I would really appreciate if you gave it a like. And I have 2 more videos planned for you this week if all goes well. One of my videos is supposed to be kind of long, so I might have to push it into next week. So I do hope you will join me for the future videos coming up this week and next week. I'll see you then.